Okay, so this video is going to be focusing on the incident regarding Henry Nowak, who was murdered by a PvP person in the UK on December the 3rd, 2025. It's only recently come to the public's light, or should I say to the public's attention, regarding the case, as the body cam footage has been released. I think it was released a couple of days ago, and I assume most of you who follow social media will have probably seen the footage already. I saw this person here has released a statement regarding the matter, and I thought we should go through it and get into the other things that have been circulating online regarding it. So let us begin.
Today is the first time I can speak to you properly about the murder of Henry Nowak in Southampton after a jury convicted his killer. First and foremost, this is an unspeakable tragedy, and I cannot begin to imagine what Henry's family have suffered. We've not spoken about this before today, as it was vitally important the jury convicted his killer, about the murder of Henry Nowak in Southampton after a jury convicted his killer.
Notice how they don't say the name? It's funny, for people who claim to make race such an important thing, they never do let you know what the race of the person is.
First and foremost, this is an unspeakable tragedy, and I cannot begin to imagine what Henry's family have suffered. We've not spoken about this before today, as it was vitally important to us that nothing be published which could prejudice the trial and prevent justice from happening. I am deeply sorry that Henry could not be saved. I'm sorry that in the moments before he lost consciousness, he had been handcuffed and arrested. The facts heard in court should leave no doubt in anyone's mind who was lying to officers that night and why we didn't immediately understand what had happened. During the 999 call, when officers first arrived at the scene, and even when Henry's condition was deteriorating quickly, his killer continued to divert the blame, obstruct our inquiries, and never admit the serious harm which had been done. I understand that there are many questions about what happened on the night of Wednesday, the 3rd of December 2025. In those moments, the officers who attended didn't have all of the information we have today. They were called to a report of an assault and told a man was being detained at the scene. These details were immediately repeated to officers as they arrived. The attending officer...
Yet if you see the body cam footage, it does definitely tell a completely different story. How they completely rejected and put Henry Nowak in cuffs without ever checking him properly. I mean, he was stabbed in the face. How is it possible that you're so blind to overlook that fact? And in the footage you can clearly see how they're so concerned about the Indian guys, the Sikh guys, if they're injured. Yet the man, Henry, is bleeding out on the floor, and they are completely uninterested because they make it a race thing.
Officers sought to take control of a complex situation, and based on what they had been told, they placed Henry in handcuffs and told him he was under arrest. But within 3 minutes of arriving, they realised the severity of his condition, the handcuffs were removed, an ambulance was called, and they started CPR.
That's a complete lie. No, they didn't. You can see the body cam footage. There was no immediate removal of handcuffs.
The horrendous injuries Henry suffered were internal. The pathologist's evidence at court was clear. Sadly, nothing we could have done that night would have saved him. His wound was difficult to find and had caused a significant amount of internal bleeding.
Gee, nothing you could have done to save him. I completely agree with that, because it would have been too late. Yes, it is too late. How you save the Henry Nowaks of the world is you don't import people from PvP server countries who refuse to assimilate into your country.
As people worked to try and save him, 3 people were arrested at the scene, including the man now convicted of his murder. A 4th person was arrested at a nearby address. My officers responded swiftly to a situation.
And what about all the people? All the people that covered it up? I heard his mom helped him hide the knife. What's his name? Digwa or some crazy name. They helped him hide the knife. What about them?
Which was confusing and unclear, and within minutes were giving Henry first aid and trying to save his life. The following day, we referred the incident to the Independent Office of Police Conduct, who've been conducting an independent investigation into our response. We are committed to acting on their findings. Henry Nowak was an 18-year-old who had his whole future in front of him. That future has been cut short through a senseless attack. Today, the person who's responsible for killing Henry has rightly been convicted of his murder.
People don't care anymore. People do not care anymore. They are fed up. They are fed up with it. Here's Rupert Lowe. Enough is enough. A deep line needs to be drawn in the sand. Talk is weak. Talk is weak. Britain needs to say no more. And mean it. A Restore Britain government with the British people's approval would put Vikram Digwa to death. Henry Nowak was stabbed by Digwa 5 times, including twice in the back of his legs, once in the face, and a fatal wound to his chest. Rather than calling an ambulance, Digwa filmed Henry. Digwa gave the knife to his mother, and it was found by the police at their home along with more than 20 other weapons. Keeping this savage alive serves nobody. The police officers on the scene who allowed Henry to die will face criminal charges for gross negligence, manslaughter. Digwa's foreign family will be deported. Laws will change, the country will change, everything will change. Order will be restored. The law will be restored. Britain will be restored. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? That, of course, that scenario would only happen under Restore Britain. Under the current anarcho-tyranny regime, probably not. And then you've got the Sikh community attempting to do a heartfelt, sympathetic cover-up. A whole play on the emotions and the empathy toward people. Let's watch a little bit of this as to what they have to say.
For over a meaningless dispute. On behalf of the entire Sikh community, our condolences go out to the family.
I really do not think people need to be hearing this kind of language right now.
On behalf of the entire Sikh community, our condolences go out to the family of Henry Nowak and his loved ones and friends due to the tragic loss of life that occurred on the 3rd of December 2025.
It was a tragic news to hear such a young person lost his life to a victim of a senseless and brutal murder at the hands of Vikram Digwa. Now, this crime has been reported in the media over the last 2 weeks. He was convicted of murder and he was sentenced today for 21 years, and rightly so. This was a lone actor. He acted with the choices he made himself to assault and stab an unarmed individual for over a meaningless dispute. Now, what happened that night, fateful night, only they know. But the actions after that will never be forgotten, and the repercussions are very serious. The multitude of lies that he played out in court, and which the judge completely dismissed, that he brought the Sikh faith into disrepute, the values and principles that we hold so dear.
If the Sikh faith was brought into disrepute by this Digwa guy, please explain to me then why there were so many accomplices. who I could only assume were also Sikhs. Why is it? Wouldn't the other Sikhs do the honorable thing by exposing the bad actor, Digwa? Yet why is it that they attempted to cover up for him?
Are instilled in our faith and our belief and our community for generations and centuries.
Your faith literally tells you that you can carry around a dagger. Look, I'm not going to make any qualms about the Christian faith either. Jesus did tell us to buy swords. I'll be honest with the meaning behind that. It is exactly what you think it is. It's time for you to be honest about the meaning as to why you guys carry daggers. Let's just be honest. I think it's time to be honest now and not beat around the bush.
It's something that one individual has brought shame on. But those actions do not reflect the Sikh community. They don't reflect our core beliefs, and they don't reflect what our articles of faith represent.
Yet people covered it up. Other Sikhs covered it up.
This was an individual acting alone.
No, he wasn't.
This has been condemned in the strongest words by the entire Sikh community, and we stand with the family of Henry Nowak, and we share their grief and their loss, and our hearts go out. But this incident, the Sikh community has been brought into the spotlight for wearing our kakar, and particularly wearing of a kirpan.
Oh, here we go.
This is a right that we have in British law.
Now it's going to become victim status and how they're protected citizens.
But it's a defense of that law. We are not treated differently. We don't have special allowance.
According to the body cam footage, it does seem like your kind are treated quite differently, according to the law of the land.
We have the same law, and we are open to the same laws as every other individual in this country.
Man, shut up. No, you're not. Yeah, let's listen to this. Elon retweeted, "Did you know that official police policy requires them to be racist against whites? It is deeply wrong and must change now."
Thank the Home Secretary and thank you, Mr. Speaker, for ensuring the government came to the House today. The murder of Henry Nowak is devastating for his family. He was an innocent young man on the way home when he was brutally killed. Henry's family have suffered an unimaginable loss, and I know the thoughts of the whole House will be with them all. The evil murderer Vikram Digwa lied from start to finish, including a false allegation of racism. But on arriving at the scene, the police appeared more concerned with the accusation of racism, and even the possibility that Digwa himself was injured, than they were in helping Henry. Henry told the police he could not breathe 9 times. He told them he had been stabbed 4 times. The response from the officer, we've all heard, was to say, "I don't think you have, mate."
Yeah.
Henry was handcuffed and dragged across the ground as he lay dying. Can you imagine what he must have felt as he cried out for help and was ignored, as the officers who should have worked to save him instead handcuffed him and inquired after the welfare of his killer, standing just inches away.
Yeah, insane.
Henry's dad, Mark, said this: "Henry did not die with dignity. He did not die with the care he deserved. He lost consciousness before anyone believed him." So we need the IOPC to urgently and transparently report into how it was the police attending were more concerned with the accusation of racism than they were in helping a dying man. Mr. Speaker, we cannot tolerate a situation where false allegations of racism by criminals are believed. We cannot allow the colour of someone's skin to be a consideration in how the police or other public services treat people. And yet this has happened. Just recently, we learned that Valdo Calicone, who murdered 3 people in Nottingham, was not sectioned by mental health professionals because they thought there was, and I quote, an over-representation of young black males in mental health detention. The consequent failure to section Valdo Calicone, in part because he was black, led directly to the murder of 3 innocent people.
So the conclusion is, because there's an overrepresentation of black people in mental institutions and I don't know, whatever, in prisons or something, the conclusion is, no, we must be more fair to them. We must treat them with favor, as opposed to finding out, or as opposed to checking into, why is it that there's an overrepresentation? So the conclusion is, let's treat them more favorably. Let's give them special privileges that we don't give other races, whites, as opposed to coming to the logical conclusion, and you can do the stats yourself, they have a bend toward being more violent. I mean, just look at X. Go ahead and type in people getting beat up in Britain, and you'll see endless videos of migrants beating up white people in Britain. I can guarantee you there's hardly going to be any videos of white people beating up black people. But if it carries on like this, I wouldn't be surprised.
The head teacher of Axel Radicubana was accused of racist stereotyping when she described Radicubana as a threat to safety, and the risk assessment was watered down.
Yeah, to your policing.
Radicubana, of course, went on to stab and murder 3 young girls at a Southport dance class. But Mr. Speaker, this has not happened by accident. It is enshrined in the police's own policy documents. The police anti-racism commitment, published in March 2025 by the NPCC and the College of Policing, urges police forces to reverse engineer the same arrest rates between ethnic groups, even though the offending rates are different, by treating different ethnic groups differently. Let that sink in for a moment. An official police document actually says people should be treated differently based on the colour of their skin.
And then they will cover it up. I can guarantee you, they will cover it up, and they probably are already, and they probably have been for ages. They will cover it up and go ahead and say, that's not what it means. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to find out what it means. In fact, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to find out what any kind of policy means. You can simply look at the fruit, look at the actions of the policy, look at what they do, and it will let you know exactly what the policy means. There is an overrepresentation of police officers being favorable to people of other colored skins besides whites. There's favoritism toward that, and there's a disproportionate amount of harassment toward white people. Therefore, by the police, therefore, you can only come to the conclusion that it is exactly as this man says. It's purposely been designed to oppress white people.
I've said before at this dispatch box at least twice that document should be withdrawn. The dangerous ideology of so-called anti-racism, allowing people to be treated differently based on race, must end. Extreme activists have hijacked the policy-making process, and this is where it has led. It has no place in policing, it has no place anywhere. So does the Home Secretary agree that the so-called police anti-racism commitment must urgently be withdrawn? It is morally wrong, and it is dangerous as well. Police forces must focus on catching criminals and keeping the public safe. They must simply treat everyone exactly the same. I want to finish with Mark Nowak's words yesterday, Henry's father. He said this: Henry was 18. He was kind, ambitious, loved, and full of promise. He had his whole life ahead of him. But that future was stolen from him, and no verdict and no sentence will ever give it back. Mr. Speaker, it is true that nothing can bring Henry back. But let us make sure that no one ever again experiences what Henry did in his last tragic moments.
Yeah. Well, there is only one solution, and that is to get rid of all of them. But that probably won't happen. Well, definitely not under this guy. So, Keir Starmer, the socialist dictator, Keir Starmer says he won't remove the exemption which allows Sikhs to carry large ceremonial knives on them. Of course not. Meanwhile, English women are being prosecuted for carrying regular pepper spray on them when out on the streets at night. But of course, there's no two-tier policing. And then Mr. Starmer had this to say as well.
But no matter the pain we feel, there is no justification for more violence and disorder. The attack
And the mindless cogs. Yeah.
directed towards police officers in Southampton last night were disgraceful and completely unacceptable. This is a time for serious work, not rage. And let me be clear, we will ensure anyone found engaging in disorder. And let me be clear, we will ensure anyone found engaging in... This is a time for serious work, not rage.
The time for serious work and not rage. I think has come and gone, friend. You've had the opportunity to address the wrongs that you have done for ages, and you've chosen not to. And this stuff is continually happening under this man's watch. It's almost like he's actually mocking the people of England. He's mocking the English. He's basically saying he knows that the English people won't do anything. So he'll continually gaslight. He'll continually say, we're going to do these things and don't you dare question us. And unfortunately, society has come to such a point where everybody's unfortunately like a sheep and just says, yes, sir. Even though we dislike you so much, yes, sir.
And let me be clear, we will ensure anyone found engaging in disorder meets the full force of the law.
Of course you will.
As we have done before.
Yeah, they are rubbing your nose in it. This is the guy here, along with all his co-conspirators and people that covered up for him. Fortunately, and rightfully so, there are a few people that are... There was protests and all sorts of stuff as well. This is just one of them. This is actually rather one of the despicable ones. The massive crowd is yelling, on your knees, on your knees. They won't do it. George Floyd, that was okay. He was black. Police aren't interested for a white man. The West needs to wake up and reclaim our institutions. Justice for Henry Nowak. Lock up the cops who let him die. Yep. So this really sums it up.
On your knees! 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 On your fucking knees!
And they just stand there. But there's no two-tier policing. They are literally letting you know they don't care. They're literally letting you know that should it happen again, they'll treat it the same. Shocking. But not surprising. Yeah, so it's really, you sort of get lost. You have a loss for words when it comes to just the amount of suicidal empathy that they have, the amount of hatred that you must have as an individual to refuse to recognize that you've messed up, to refuse to recognize or even attempt to make amends. Simply getting on your knees is just, while everybody else is on their knees, interestingly, everybody else is on their knees, asking you to join them in support, and you refuse. That's why you can't apologize to these people. These kind of people. And you can say, oh, but they're just doing their jobs. They're just... So you will allow them to get away with basically murder and hide behind the fact that, oh, they're just doing their job. They're complicit. And based on their action, you can see that they simply do not care. They are uninterested in our opinion because they are convinced and have been so brainwashed that we are the problem. That's why they treat it as nothing. They consider themselves the moral bastions. They consider themselves the ones on the right side of history. They consider themselves above us. They don't care. That's why it will continue to happen. They're uninterested in our opinion. But a time is coming when this kind of stuff is going to be not tolerated anymore. And I foresee it happening pretty quickly. And yeah, that's going to be an interesting time when that happens. Anyway, folks, that's all I got. I'll check you on the next one.